Next on BBC Focus, here's Kim Sekersey with this month's edition of Disability Today.
This month we look at one scheme which trains disabled people to work with computers. We meet the man on the Wakefield Omnibus, that's the benefit bus, and we hear the news and your views on the network.
Hello and welcome to the first extended edition of Disability Today. In this programme we'll really be going high-tech in this wonderful Victorian mansion just outside of Cambridge as we look at what some computer technology has to offer disabled people. But first, let's catch up with your views on the network. Over to Peter in the studio.
Mrs Morse from Wellington in Shropshire wrote in to say she was very interested in what John Swift, the rail regulator, had to say in our last programme. She says Wellington was, until a year and a half ago, a mainline station, but is now unattended. Despite living yards away from the station, Mrs Morse has been told to travel the 6 miles to Telford, where assistance is available for disabled passengers. And, says Mrs Morse, she's not alone in welcoming the reopening of Wellington. Like mums with prams, for example, Mrs Morse, to name a few thousand. Miss G. Maurizio from Norwich was intrigued by Kim's item on personal safety. She says there are some advantages in using a walking stick. Miss Maurizio was threatened recently in the street, but a sharp wave of a walking stick and the attacker ran off. I've been tempted myself, I must say, but the police do advise you only use the minimum force essential for your own safety. And now 2 letters from visually impaired viewers. Wendy Shepherd from Abertillery wants advice on open-ended needles for embroidery. Well, my needlework days are over, I'm afraid, so do help me out with this one. You've got 1 month left in the series. And Diane Byrne from Trowbridge in Wiltshire finds the programme very interesting, but says it would be helpful to visually impaired viewers if we read out our address and telephone number during the programme. Always willing to oblige. Our address is Disability Today, PO Box 444, Bath, BA1 2TN. And our phone number is 01225 832 200. Now back to Kim, looking at computers at the Papworth Trust near Cambridge.
With the recent hype about the internet, the topic of computer technology has received refreshed attention in the home and in the workplace. Not knowing much at all about computers myself, being amongst all this technology does make me feel a bit nervous. But you don't need to be very computer-minded to be impressed by it all or see its potential. There's now lots of different hardware and software which makes computing more accessible to disabled people. For instance, there's now a variety of different keyboards to suit your range of movement. If you like, you can now choose the layout of the keyboard, or you can use voice type, where you talk to the computer and it types for you.
J. Tab key.
Now, if you're like me and you find all this technology stuff a bit overwhelming, then a good starting point is to find some training. With the aim of giving disabled people the opportunity to find out which computers and software suit them best, and the training to use them, here at the Bradbury Progression Centre, a new technology centre has just been opened.
I suppose I was pretty nervous, but once I've been there a few times, I was all right.
So there'll probably come a time in the variant where I'll no longer be fit enough to work in the factory at the moment. So I feel that working in an office with a computer is the ideal thing.
Romeo.
Wingrove Newton has just started to learn how to use computers here.
Well, I always had an interest in using the computer from seeing other people operate computers. But the drawback with me was not having the ability to use the conventional keyboard. And not until the opportunity arose a few months back for me to use a Wivix system, that's the keyboard imposing on the monitor, also a Dragon Dictate, and then I started to actually use a computer more or less the same as everyone else who normally use the keyboard. I was a little bit apprehensive to start with, but as I use it more often, I become more confident.
Pursuing a childhood interest in computers, Dale Wilkes is someone who has shown that he and computers really do work well together. He is now employed as a PC support specialist for Organon Laboratories in Cambridge.
Because these jobs, obviously, are the kind of thing you do staying in one place for an amount of time. They're something that's well suited to a lot of disabled people. And providing you get the right training, and you know, it's not difficult to pick it up. It's just you learn it and you progress it. It's very logical, and you start to build up a knowledge base, and before long you're an expert.
Don't forget, if you'd like further information on anything in today's programme, you can contact us for our fact sheet. And now, continuing her series of advice on benefits, Heather Clark went off to check out a benefits agency bus.
Over the past 4 programmes, we've discussed benefits specifically for people with disabilities. Benefits such as disability living allowance, attendance allowance and disability working allowance. Today, we're looking at other benefits available to disabled people. To find out more, we're on board a benefits bus, which is one way that the benefits agency gets out to meet its customers in the community. It's of particular help to people who would find it difficult to get into an office. What sort of questions do you get asked, Dave?
We get asked all sorts of questions. We get asked about disability benefits, income support, maternity benefits, housing benefits, council tax. We get asked many questions that are nothing to do with us at all, but mainly we concentrate, or the questions seem to come from people who are sick, disabled, or have a member of the family who's sick or disabled, and they cover absolutely any aspect of disability, illness, contributions at all.
How do you identify what benefits a person could claim?
When somebody comes to see us, they've usually got the courage up to come in, or they've been planning to come in, they've seen it advertised in the press or wherever, and they come with a question they want to ask us. Am I getting the right amount of money? So what we'll do is we'll start off by asking them about their personal circumstances. Are they claiming benefits because they're ill, unemployed, or they're caring for someone? We then go and check what benefits they're getting, who's in the family, whether they're single, whether they've a mortgage, whether they pay rent, council tax. And by asking all these questions, we can check to see if the benefits they're getting are correct, if they're claiming all the benefits they can get, if they know about all the fringe benefits. And then many times we go into other areas where we have to direct them to other agencies. We can deal with national insurance contributions. We know a little bit about child support agency, but very often we've got to realise our own limitations and pass them on to, say, a caring organisation, Home Start, Disabled Information Advice Line. So we try to cover all aspects, but it can be very trying because very often you have to put your hand up and say, I don't know the answer.
You mentioned income support. How does that work?
Income support is a benefit whereby the government set a basic line where people's income can be brought up to this. If you've got somebody who's unemployed and has a wife and a couple of children, the unemployment benefit invariably doesn't come up to this level, so we can supplement this to bring it up to the government level that is laid down. If somebody's ill, they're allowed, and they've been ill for over 12 months, of disability living allowance. They qualify for various premiums, disability premium, if they're a disabled child premium. If there's a carer in the household who's in receipt of invalid care allowance, we add all these up, work out the level of income support, and then check to see what they're getting. If they're below the level, we give them the information or give them a claim form. We can help them fill in the claim forms and get them on the right track to claiming the correct benefits. We have a computer system called Integrated Benefit Information System, known for short as IBIS. We use this an awful lot because we can actually give people do an interview, give people a report of the interview, work out the title to income support, family credit, disabled work and allowance, housing benefit, council tax benefit, and say, here's a printout on the information you've given me, this is what you should be getting. If you're not getting it all, here's how to claim it. If you don't get it, you can go and wave this under somebody's nose and say, this is what I've been told I should be getting. And yeah, it's a benefit that brings somebody to a basic line whereby they should be able to live.
Is all income taken into account?
No, all income isn't taken into account. The ones that stand out immediately are if you've got somebody in receipt of disability living allowance, either the mobility component or the care component, that would be ignored. The same with somebody had attendance allowance, that would be ignored. Such income that is ignored should always be mentioned to the benefit agency, because even though the income's ignored, it actually brings along things behind it. If somebody is, say a lady claiming benefit, her husband's claiming for her, he's unemployed, she has disability living allowance, so you can actually qualify for the disability premium. The same if somebody was caring for his wife, they must mention that he receives invalid care allowance because that brings a carer's premium along. So yeah, not every benefit's taken into account.
What about help with residential or nursing home fees?
Yes, there is help for people who have to go into a residential or nursing home. The first action should be to get in touch with the local authority social services department, who would assess if they had a need to go into one of these homes and would advise them which sort of home, whether it was a residential home or a nursing home. If you didn't have any capital or capital of less than £8,000, you should get in touch with the benefit agency, because we can assist with the fees for going into there. We would assess out what you're entitled to, what premiums, the residential allowance, and the local authority social service department would meet the fees up to the local level. The fees do vary depending on whether you're outside London or inside London. There are set rates laid down. If you have a couple where one person is going in the residential home, one is staying at home, the benefits can be paid separately to these people. If you're actually going into a home and paying all your own fees, you can continue to claim attendance allowance as long as you're not seeking any aid from anybody else at all. But I must say the first step is to get in touch with the social services. Once they've agreed that you go in, to get in touch with the benefit agency or use one of the helplines to check what your entitlements are.
And NHS charges and fares to attend hospital, clinics and things, what about that?
Yes, there are help for people for National Health Service charges, fares to and from hospital and other things. If you're on income support, family credit, disability work and allowance, you get the help automatically on these benefits. If you're above these levels, you can claim help on the grounds of low income. What sort of help depends on how far above income support your income is. You may not get help with prescriptions, but you may get help to a certain extent towards optical, dental, fares to and from hospital. What you can do is obtain a form AG1 from the local office by phoning up a helpline or whatever to check your entitlement. There are such things as exemption certificates for people who have certain diseases such as hypothyroidism and other words I can't pronounce. But one of the ones that not a lot of people know about are the ones if you're unable to leave home without the help of another person. And this is a classical situation where somebody is in receipt of mobility and can't get out on their own, either into a wheelchair or just getting out the house. You can get an exemption certificate and claim your prescriptions free, no matter whether you're working full-time, whatever. It's just one of the exemptions that a lot of disabled people don't seem to pick on. And so, for information, you can again phone a free phones, get in touch with the local office, visit one of these units, and we will give you the information so you can claim help in this direction.
What other benefits do you most generally help with?
Well, we cover an absolute full range of benefits, from the person who either on income support themselves or the partner's claim for them, and the lady's pregnant, she's going to have a baby. We can tell her about free meal tokens, how to claim a grant from the social fund before the baby's born, possible help with maternity allowance, how to claim the child benefit when the baby's born. We cover disability mainly. The main thrust of the questions we get are to do with people in poor health who have got poor mobility, need some care. And we spend an awful lot of time talking to people about these benefits, explaining the related benefits, how to get a hold of the claim forms which we ourselves can carry, how to get them completed, how to bring out the information so they give themselves the best chance of getting the benefit. Anybody who's got a claim with a benefit agency or thinks they may have, we will take them right through everything. If we don't carry the claim forms, we'll tell them how to get them. Industrial injuries and everything. It just covers an absolute... Anything anybody wants to know, they see information on the side of the unit and they'll come in and ask.
If you'd like further information on any of the benefits mentioned, then call the Benefits Inquiry line, free of charge, on 0800 88 22 00. The Department of Health is to introduce a voucher scheme for people who require wheelchairs. Until now, only those satisfied with an NHS-approved chair have received any help. But in future, disabled people will be able to use cash vouchers based on an assessment of their need to put towards the cost of the chair of their choice. John Bowis, the Minister of Health, has also announced funding for a motorised chair which can be used out of doors, the culmination of a 10-year fight by disability organisations to win this concession. The two schemes together will cost £50 million over a period of 4 years. 3 High Court judges have overturned a decision which some had seen as a significant step forward in the establishment of disabled people's civil rights. In July of last year, 18-year-old Stephen Vickers, who has cerebral palsy, obtained an injunction which prevented his adoptive mother, Mrs Marjorie Vickers, from interfering in decisions central to the running of his life, such as schooling and where he lived. But sitting in the family division of the High Court, 3 appeal judges have decided that the original judge exceeded his authority because there was no legal dispute between Stephen and Mrs Vickers, and that the family must sort this out between themselves. We understand that no appeal is planned. The British Paralympic Association is claiming a world first in sporting integration. British disabled swimmers will fight for places at the Atlanta Paralympics at the same time as their Olympic counterparts. Both sets of swimmers will compete in their respective qualification trials at Sheffield's Ponds Forge from the 22nd to the 24th of March. A European Commission report has called for anti-discrimination legislation for disabled people to be included in European treaties, which are to be discussed at this year's Intergovernmental Conference. The report described disabled Europeans as invisible citizens and said that Europe was falling behind the United States in civil rights legislation. An attempt by opposition peers in the House of Lords to amend the Community Care Direct Payments Bill to include more disabled people narrowly failed. The bill, which will for the first time permit local authorities to give money directly to clients so they can purchase their own care, currently excludes a number of groups, such as people with learning disabilities and those over 65. But an amendment which would have left the decision on who should receive direct payments up to the discretion of local authorities was defeated by a handful of votes. So, given such restrictions, how effective will the Direct Payments Bill now be? I'm joined by Brian Lamb of Scope. Brian Lamb, this was originally seen as a liberalising measure. Do these exclusions and exemptions mean it's lost its way a little?
I think it has, and I think it's very disappointing. What we've seen is the government starting to get the jitters about how many people might apply for this. Clearly they're worried about previous examples where we had the Independent Living Fund, which became very popular and then very expensive. I think the government have got the same worries now about this measure.
Is that likely? Are the floodgates likely to open?
I think it will be very popular, and I think many disabled people will want to apply, but of course the local authorities will still have the responsibility of deciding how much they may get as direct payments instead of services that the authority would have provided. So there is a natural limit to what will happen under the scheme.
That's another worry, isn't it, because local authorities don't have to implement direct payments at all, do they?
I think that's extremely worrying. Many local authorities will actually decide not to take part in the scheme in the first instance, so it will actually perhaps be very narrow at first.
How important do you think it is that people who get direct payments are actually given adequate support?
I think it's crucial. The scheme may indeed fall down very badly if disabled people aren't given the proper support to actually employ their own people. There's a number of examples where very successful schemes work, and it's been proved time and time again that there needs to be an adequate infrastructure to make it work. When that's there, the schemes can work exceedingly well.
Aren't there quite a lot of people who'll say, I just don't want the bother of having direct payments. I'm quite happy with things the way they are.
Of course there will be, and for them they don't have to change. This is only a scheme for those people that want to have more control in this kind of way. I think it will be very popular, but anybody that doesn't want to take part won't have to.
In a word, is the scheme faltering, do you think?
I think we're worried. I think it will go ahead. I think it could be a success, but the less restrictions there are at the start, the better.
Brian Lamb, thank you very much. And it'll be interesting to see how the government responds to the period of consultation which has just taken place. And now back to Kim in Cambridge.
Well, that's it for another edition of Disability Today. Don't forget to get in touch if you'd like to receive our fact sheet or just to tell us your views. Our address and numbers are at the end of the programme. So until next time, from Heather, Peter and me, bye-bye.
A year ago saw the launch of a brand new charity, but a charity with a long and proud tradition of empowering people with disabilities and their parents and carers. The launch of Scope in November 1994 was celebrated in London and by local groups around the country. It generated literally hours of television and radio coverage and pages of newspaper stories. An important factor in getting over our message to the public that the Spastic Society had become Scope. The national and local media also helped explain why we were changing. At the same time, as part of our continuous campaigning work, we carried out a survey of members of Parliament which showed there was overwhelming support in the House for a Bill of Civil Rights for everyone with a disability and substantial numbers in favour of an act to make discrimination against disabled people illegal.
Oh, Emma.
Our message was reinforced with a series of cinema and television advertisements.
I could catch the train in the morning, be in York for lunch. It'd be a laugh.
Hi, Emma. It's me.
Cerebral palsy doesn't stop Belinda thinking like everyone else. She just wants the scope to live that way.
By February, the results of research conducted amongst the general public showed that while some people knew who Scope was, there was still a lot of work to be done. Awareness was increased in March with our next campaign, launched with the support of our regional staff, service users and local groups. The Carers Report, called Behind Closed Doors, disclosed the grim circumstances experienced by many of Britain's unpaid carers, overstretched and unsupported, and facing financial hardship, social isolation, and emotional and health problems. The same month, our new Chief Executive, Richard Brewster, arrived at his desk. In April, one of our sponsors, the Forte Post House chain of hotels, presented us with £143,000, raised in a novel way by their staff. And the dedication and effort of our fundraising shop volunteers and managers was quickly recognised when we were able to announce that for the first time, takings for 1 week had broken the £500,000 barrier. And there was more to celebrate. The Cerebral Palsy's Helpline's 5th anniversary of providing information, advice and support for people with cerebral palsy and their carers. During its first 5 years, it dealt with more than 60,000 calls. May, and the secondary unit at Rutland House School in Nottingham, which caters for 11 to 15-year-old children with special needs, was officially opened.
What have we got to do? We've got the onions to do.
Our efforts to spread knowledge about some of the solutions to problems experienced by people with cerebral palsy led to a 2-day conference, the first ever international research conference held by Scope. The subject was how to make eating easier for people with cerebral palsy. Fun was the theme behind the Partners on Air promotions, where we work with local radio stations promoting action-packed fundraising events like abseiling and dragon boat racing and raising listeners' awareness of our work. The events are a great opportunity for local affiliated groups to take a high profile in the community.
Oh, I tell you what, that is exhilarating.
There was more to celebrate in July, the first anniversary of Gate Opener, the information and advice service for disabled people funded by Scope, in partnership with local affiliated groups and other community-based organisations.
Organisation would be able to give you quite a lot of leaflets, but we've got quite a lot here that we could pass.
And our campaigning work continued with the release of our report, Counting on Community Care, which highlighted the major problems that face disabled people and their carers trying to get local authority and government support. Again, it generated a great deal of publicity, nationally and locally. Press ads highlighted some of the different services offered by Scope, and their effectiveness was demonstrated when a survey showed there's a growing public awareness of our name and of the work we do. More television with the launch of Disability Today, a programme on BBC Two, made on behalf of Scope and funded by the Benefits Agency.
With the British team at the European Swimming Championships, we find out what the Benefits Agency can do for you. And we're accessing the arts in Newcastle and asking just what's on offer for disabled people.
Littlewoods, the Pools people, launched a national scratch card, which is expected to raise more than £1 million for us.
With Littlewoods, 24 pence from every card you play goes direct to charity.
And our latest achievement, again with the help of Littlewoods and other company and trust supporters, is the official opening by our President, the Duke of Westminster, of Liverpool Early Years Centre, where up to 70 disabled and non-disabled children aged under 5 can learn through playing together. Scope's first year has been challenging, always interesting and full of achievement, proven by the latest figures, which show we've attracted 14 new local affiliated groups and almost 40,000 new donors. And in year 2, we look forward to building on that success in partnership with service users, local affiliated groups, volunteers and staff.
Next, Voluntary Sector Television with all the latest information and new ideas from the voluntary sector.